What up, y'all? This is Jamal.
I'm Rodney.
Hey, what's up, y'all? This is Vince.
This is your girl, Elyse.
And we are
Under construction.
Today, as you all can see, we have a very, very, very special guest. She is Elyse Sadler. She is the CEO.
Okay.
I'm sorry. HFIC? Whatever.
Yeah.
Head honcho of the conversation and the Milky Balls Podcast.
It makes me smile every time everybody grin gets so big. Milky Balls. Yeah. I shouldn't say this, but it shit is funny.
I think I should have did Milky Balls.
Milky Balls.
So Elyse, we are thrilled to have you on the show.
Let's clap it up for Elyse.
Yeah.
Thanks. I'm surrounded by all these kings, and it feels so good honoring the queen in me. So thank you guys.
Just so you know, everybody out there, just to let y'all know, like before we started rolling today, like Elyse brings this undescribable energy to the podcast.
Crazy.
We're taking shots and we're having great conversations, but we are here to promote the conversation and the Milky Balls Podcast. So tell us more.
Well, first I need to thank y'all for having me. Shout out to Vince. Actually, first shout out to Jamal, who came on the platform posting Under Construction's podcast without my permission. he just came in like a whole dude, didn't knock. Didn't do nothing.
Nope.
I was like,
man from the fifth floor.
I was like, bro, that's what you do. You just come into the house and not. Yep. And he was like, my bad, Elyse, but this shit is really dope what we doing. So can it stay up there? I was like, yeah, you good. So shout out to Jamal for posting it on the platform because I was unaware that you guys had this going on. So thank you for just having the show.
I just know.
You know what? You don't. But thankfully, we on the same page and we all vibrating on the same frequency. So I was like, you know what? Let's do this. Let's continue to post these things because the content that you guys have and the awareness you guys are creating is good for the people. So thank you for, first of all, for just existing. Yep. And then to Vince, who reached out to me and was like, yo, it'd be a good idea if we had you on the show and then you have us on the show. And I was like, well, let's do it. Let's help each other grow. So that's why I'm here. And I thank you guys. But the conversation is, we've had a journey in what it is.
It is an experience.
Yeah.
It's quite an experience, right?
It is. Yep. It's an experience. It is a platform that I co-created with a group of people because the art of conversing seemed to be dying. Nobody really knew how to, converse with one another. It was just hard. Communication is poor between people in general because everybody's mostly on their cell phone all the time. Right. So a lot of times we feel like we can edit ourselves because we can edit ourselves due to social media, due to texting, due to emails. But when you actually have inner connecting conversations with people face to face in the physical, you get two totally different people because you're not filtered.
That's a fact.
You know what I'm saying? You're not filtered.
Super fact.
So it's like, you hop in the DM and you honored, you know what I'm saying? Hey girl, how you doing? Everything flows naturally because you done edited yourself 5 million times.
Yeah.
Or she's edited herself 1 million times. Right. And then you meet in the physical and it's like, we ain't got nothing to talk about.
Or it could be like, I thought I saw you today in public.
How
you doing?
That's what we do.
We're gonna get back to that, but it's crazy that was your motivation for creating the conversation because I've been here in Charlotte for 4 years now, and I'm in about 100 group meet chats, and I need to leave probably 98. But when in these group chats we're going on and we're conversing and we're texting and all that, and you see these personalities from all these individuals, but then when you meet them in person, it don't match.
No,
right.
It don't match.
How many times have you been out and somebody's like maybe interacting with you, say, well, you're not like you're not how I thought you were. Like I thought you were different than what you post. And like, has that ever happened to you before?
That happens all the time, but it's because we build stereotypes.
Right. Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying?
And do you think there's like Facebook personas?
Yes.
Yeah, right.
Like we avatars.
Right.
Whole ass avatars.
We whole avatars. You know what I'm saying? It's really funny because like people stereotype you even in the virtual world. You cannot even post. You don't even have to post real pictures. Some people be posting like memes. Like their whole page consists of memes, and they don't even have a real life picture of themselves.
Ooh,
you know, but we develop these oh my
Speaking
God.
the word right now.
You know, especially like, I'm just going to speak from the female perspective. You're like,
Church
oh
organs
my
blaring.
gosh,
Yeah.
this is amazing. He is so conscious, because the post be so like, you know, kings are the leader of their households and we are the lions of the packs, and you'd be like, yes, I'm connected
God, he's
so
so
well with
deep.
you. Yes. And then you meet them in person, they'd be like, so shallow as a mug, because literally they're trying to gain an audience of people and you stereotype them. It's two different people.
I'm glad you said that. I've always had this personal belief that memes have ruined Facebook and social media.
Yeah.
Because there's so much that it lacks. There's no context. There's no real nuance to memes. Don't even get me started, because I can
Memes
go
are
on
trolls.
an hour-long
Now,
rant about
first
that.
off, for everybody that's listening, for everybody that's watching, if your Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, GroupMe, Snapchat profile photo is not a photo of you, change it.
Delete it.
Change it, okay? because I get so many friend requests, and I go through the
I do
profile
too.
before I accept.
I do too. I
And
thought I was the only one.
If all I see are memes, it's getting a reject. Now,
Yeah.
we all have a common friend who falls into the scope of what you just explained. I'm not going to call his name out personally,
Yeah.
but I know he's watching because he supports us. So, homie,
Get a real profile
Change the
picture.
profile.
Who is you?
I feel triggered.
Who are you?
Now, getting back to why you're here.
Yes.
How has the growth been? How has the reception been from your friends? And what have you learned from then until now throughout your process?
So consistency is definitely the key. The platform was created because we literally wanted to have a group of people who like to just talk about different things, not necessarily one particular thing, or having a group where it's more so centered and focused on being about one thing. The conversation is about all things. Everything starts with a conversation, but it's the types of conversations we were having. I was looking for people to be more in depth with their conversation. We had to get out the shallowness. I like to speak in depth about things.
Like to dig deep.
Yeah,
Right.
so I wanted to create a platform where like-minded people like to dig in on some, things on a deeper level as well. And so the platform has definitely grown from what it was. I think it was like 100 people when we first started it to now it's, right over 1,400 people.
Wow.
And it's literally 1,400 people that are organically tuned in to going beyond and giving different perspectives about this. We can actually have the same post and everybody 40, 50, 60 comments with different perspectives. Yeah. So it just teaches us how we can all look at the same thing, but be seeing things very differently.
Right.
And so that's why the conversation platform really exists, because it allows people to be organically who they are and live in their truth without being afraid to speak their mind on the subject and then being bashed for how they feel about it. It's all respect and love. You can feel however you want to feel about a subject, say whatever it is that you have to say about a post, and we're going to respect that that's what you have to say. And if for some reason we don't agree, we can agree to disagree, and it's no hard feelings. And I think that's, as a culture and as a community, we have to get better about that, agreeing to disagree.
Do you feel like one of the aims of the conversation is to have more productive conversation, or is it simply just to learn how to see different perspectives?
Both.
Yeah,
because communication skills suck for the most part with people.
Totally agree.
And that's what's affecting our relationships because we're not having the hard conversations, which is why the Milky Balls Podcast exists, because it's a podcast about sex. And, sex should be as easy as a conversation to have between people who are romantically involved and not romantically involved. Like, it should be done easily and not taboo. Yeah. I shouldn't have to feel like if we're going to sit here and talk about sex with three guys that I really don't know, that I'm uncomfortable because it's a subject that I don't really talk about. And if I'm uncomfortable right now discussing it or amongst people that I don't know, think about how uncomfortable I am in the bedroom.
Right.
Yeah. Gotcha.
And all that transfers.
Gotcha. And I want to take it back. So, your background, where are you from?
I'm from good old Belmont, North Carolina. Shout out to all my Belmontians.
Now you say you're from Belmont, but the little accent you threw in there sounded very Mayberry. So was that intentional?
That's that Gaston County.
This sure is Gaston County all day long.
Now, again, like I said earlier, I've only been living here in Charlotte for like 4 years. So for the people who may not know about Belmont, tell us a little bit more about Belmont.
Belmont is right outside of Charlotte. Belmont Abbey College, most people are probably familiar with that.
Yep.
So that is the city of Belmont, small, suburban outside of Charlotte City, but good people. We all grew up loving one another. It was one of those communities where we left our doors unlocked. Everybody took care of everybody else's kids. So it was a village. I was raised in a village, and I am the person that I am today because the good people in Belmont, everybody looked out for each other. We had that one mechanic in town, Mr. Charlie. Everybody took their cars from Mr. Charlie.
Mr. Charlie.
You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody's grandmother cooked. So I never went hungry. Everybody was always eating. I was always at somebody else's house eating. So Belmont, shout out to everybody in that community because literally, like, it's a beautiful place to be.
Speaking of eating, you have 3 guys who really like to eat on this podcast. So where is the best restaurant to eat in Belmont?
You would ask me that, wouldn't you?
I
would. She doesn't know.
I don't. Hold on.
I felt it.
Now, string bean is good, but we're talking about.
That sounds too healthy.
It is
I went to that Jonas Brothers restaurant one time.
Was it
Nellie's?
Nellie's. Yeah, Nellie's is pretty good.
Decent.
Yeah, it's pretty decent too. I like Glenway Pub.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've been there before.
Yeah, Glenway Pub is a place that I like to eat because it's like, really good food.
Cool. So let me ask you another question. Where did you go to college?
North Carolina Central University, Eagle Pride.
All right.
Okay.
What years did you go?
2003 to 2007.
It's funny because that's the college I was going to go to, and we would have been there at the same time. But I decided I didn't want to go to college, and I joined the Army.
Oh.
Yeah, but I got accepted. I got accepted to a few colleges, but North Carolina Central was one of them. But that was the college I was going to go to had I chosen to go.
Yeah, shout out to all my Eagles. Whoop whoop.
But that's in Raleigh?
Durham.
Yeah. Same thing.
It was a culture shock too because I went from Belmont is pretty much an all white city, and I went to Central in Durham,
culture shock,
all black. So I was literally when I got to Central, I was like, "What in the black people is going on? Like, what is happening here?"
Now, let's back up. Let's back up because you just mentioned that Belmont is an all white town. Mm-hmm. How was life for you growing up as an African American in an all-white town, especially considering the social climate that we have today?
Right. Well, it was very relaxing for me.
Okay.
I didn't struggle in regards to diversity. It was definitely made aware to me certain times where I was being treated or the situation around, especially sports. Okay. And I will say that one thing about schools in general when it comes to African Americans is you can be a talented player, but there's not a lot of people that will scout for you or push you in regards to making your videotapes. Your other counterpart, they got people out there filming, editing tapes, sending it out to different colleges, being a supportive system between, for getting them those scholarships and stuff. But on the athletic side of things, there was a huge disadvantage for Black people because we didn't often have those people of our own, color pushing us to get out there and, get those tapes made, do this. We were great on the field, so athletic wise, we carried a lot of people or carried our teams in a big way. However, the support on the end of advancing it to the next level, I don't know about y'all, but hometown glory is big.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like you on a football, basketball team, like for the most part, your hometown glory is they city shut down. Everybody coming out to the game, but
especially from a town, one stoplight.
Yeah, let's talk.
Anson County know about that. Right.
When you talk about going to the next level, though, like going to the next level, they don't see you advancing to the next level, or they don't push you to advance to the next level because they're caught up in the hometown glory of it all.
Gotcha.
So that was the only big disadvantage that I saw in regards to lack.
Right.
Other than that, I grew up with acceptance from everybody, with love. White people whooped me too. My mama gave them permission.
That's weird.
Right. Most people think it's weird, but like when you decide to say, you know what, you send your kids over here and I'm sending my kids over because I played sports a lot. Okay. I basketball, volleyball, softball, track. For 8 years of me playing, middle school and high school. My mom was a single Black parent. So she couldn't take me to all the games. So I had to ride with white people. You know what I'm saying? Like I had to ride with my teammates, and they took care of me, literally, like from financially to physically to emotionally and mentally. My mom couldn't do it all.
That sounds like a very tight-knit community.
So they literally took, so when I was out of line, they disciplined me. And when they came over to my house, they had permission from their parents to discipline them as well. So my mom didn't take it as, you're a different color, so you can't discipline my child. She took it as, you know what, thank you. Because my child is very, very, very good at what she does in sports. She loves this. This is a good outlet for her. I can't do it by myself. Right. So thank you for taking that time to do it. So we were just people.
So here's something I've been wanting to ask you about the conversation in general. Tell us about the origins. When did it start? Where did it start? What inspired it?
The conversation started, what is this year, 19?
2019,
19. For a few more months.
Yeah.
I think 2016
Okay.
is when the conversation started. And from 2016, it started literally just a Facebook platform. And I was like, you know what? There's a lot of people that are in Charlotte that are not from Charlotte.
Yeah.
And a lot of times the people from Charlotte have a really hard time bonding and connecting with other people to try to start a community or a tribe or get friends that are really genuinely about something.
Right.
So I was like, you know what? This is a Facebook platform, but let's try bringing it from the virtual to the physical. So I started doing game nights.
Yes.
And in the game nights, I invited everybody out. We were doing interactive games like Minute to Win It games, Jeopardy, and like all this little interactive stuff. So people was like, oh my God, this is so dope. Like we're talking about this stuff online, but now we get to meet each other all in the physical as well. So from 2016, we started the game nights. We started just to do more events throughout the city in different restaurants and stuff. And finally in 2019, I was like, you know what? Let's start a podcast. Let's just go ahead and jump on this podcast movement. And so that's what happened. That's what we did. 2019, we started on radio at 104.4. And I branched out after probably 3 months of that and just started to do my own podcast online.
Very nice.
Now, what type of people have you met? What type of relationships have you been able to start and create as a result of you starting this movement?
So that's a great question because my belief with the conversation and who I am as a person is to always live your truth. I think a lot of people are afraid of finding themselves and what that truth means for them because it's so much conditioning that you have to undo in order to get to being that person that you really are. You know, not the person that you're, not the label, not the title. A lot of people think that they are what labels and titles define them. I'm just a mom. I'm just a daughter. So we start kind of playing into those things, and all the while we're burying who we really want to be ourselves. So living your truth is literally about saying, you know what, I accept and own the fact that I am these things as well, but I'm still me too.
Gotcha.
You know, and so being that I am, the logo for the conversation is be the change you want to see. You know, and I had to start that with myself. I ain't perfect. You know, I tell anybody about that, and that does not mean to be perfect. But being the change that I want to see has caused me to meet politicians, councilmen, state senators, and getting connected with those people and saying, you know what, I want to be the difference. I want to be the change. So whatever it is that you can do to use me and me to use you as well to get elevated and to, you know, show these people that the only reason why we exist is to connect with each other.
So speaking of that, like I'm obviously in your conversation.
Yes, you are.
I don't speak a lot.
You don't.
I'm a lurker.
He just posts.
He just talks shit is what he does. That's what Jamal does.
Basically. I'm glad you said it.
Old man shit.
But you just you just mentioned how you've met politicians and senators and so forth. Now, as far as the conversation goes, would you like to see more political content? Would you like to see more, I don't know, activism in your group? Would you like to see more diversity as far as subject matter goes?
So that's that's been a challenge for the group, and I will admit that because it's a challenge because people they don't like to dig deep. You know, they like to stay on the surface where it's comfortable. It's comfortable staying on the surface. Right. You know, when you start to dig deep,
hey fellas, is $50 too much for a date?
Yeah. Yo, these
$40 in your group. $40 is customary.
Like everybody comes out on a relationship post, on a love post, on a dating post. But when it comes to what do you guys think about the
Black wealth?
Yeah, black wealth.
Right.
Yeah.
2 comments.
All of that.
You know, all that stuff. It's like, oh my gosh, like let's get to these subjects. But I realize it's that child in school syndrome that's afraid to get the answer wrong.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying? It's not a right or wrong, and people need to understand that your perspective is not a right or wrong. It is what it is. State how you feel about said things.
And I you know, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you try to build a culture where you're not biting people's heads off for providing the wrong answer, so to speak. And again, you've spoken to the challenge of people just, hey man, just however you feel is not a wrong answer.
No.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
And you can be as encouraging as you want to, but if they don't have the confidence inside to be like, man, I either don't know enough about this subject, let me go research it, because a lot of times with people, that's what happens.
Right.
We talk about gentrification, for example.
Right.
A lot of people don't even know what that is.
Yeah. But to me, the mark of an intelligent person is admitting you don't know everything.
That's true.
And willingness to learn.
And willing to learn something, right?
One of my favorite slogans is, I know everything because I know nothing.
Right.
You know, when you come with a blank slate, instead of already filling everything with what you know about it in your head, you learn and soak in so much more that you can add to the repertoire or to your consciousness of what you have, subconsciousness of what you already have stored.
So in the next 5 years, what do you want to see your platform go?
TV, definitely.
TV.
Yep. Like I want to be something like the next Oprah.
All right.
You know, just in a sense of
minus the Michael Jackson stuff.
Yeah, no, minus all that other stuff.
Yeah, okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Man.
As far as
hey, I wouldn't be mad if I did say it.
We got a benchmark somewhere.
Yeah, okay,
you know?
okay.
I ain't saying take the prototype and mimic it exactly. But since everybody know who Oprah is,
yeah, no doubt, no doubt.
You know,
I don't want to be on Facebook like, let's cancel Elyse. Let's cancel her. Like, I don't even want to see that in the next 5 years.
You know, so I kind of wanted to, that's ultimately what I kind of want to happen.
Okay.
Just because I don't see any kind of talk show that's out right now that helps people. Oprah did an amazing job at going out and saying, this is what's wrong with the community. Yeah. This is what we need to fix. These are the issues that are that the world needs to see that's affecting people in this capacity. And she moved on the hearts of people to understand that change needs to be made. And the celebrities and the other people who were kind of unaware or who have become disconnected. Because a lot of times these celebrities and these rich people, they are from humble beginnings.
Yeah,
right.
You know, but
she definitely came from humble.
But as you advance the platform, you get disconnected.
Yeah.
Because it's a different world. It's a different way to be. It's chestnut checkers at some point when you realize, and so you kind of become disconnected.
Speaking of that, because I have 2 questions I want to ask you in regards to that. Number one, about community involvement in the conversation. Number one, I gotta give you props for your school drive.
Oh,
yesterday.
appreciate it.
And I want you to tell us more about that and how that went and how that came about. Tell us anything you want to tell us about that.
Love the school drive. Shout out to everybody who helped. We actually partner with, which is one thing that I'm happy about when it comes to community service and the culture and community. We had 3 companies that actually helped sponsor the Black owned. It was The Conversation, CJB Reed Foundation, the Black Business Social, and the Couch 704. So all of us came together and said, you know what? There's no point in everybody having one single back to school drive every year. It's like 12. Listen, if these kids don't got 12 book bags by the time school starts,
something's wrong.
Everybody has a back to school drive, and everybody is getting, the kids ready, and that's good. That's great. But the event focused on one particular community.
Gotcha.
And the fact that we had the actual drive within the community on the ball field, the kids were able to come out, the parents were able to come out, and it was just the feelingness of togetherness that happened, because at the end of the event, it really didn't matter if nobody showed up. If 2 people came and got a book bag, my job was done. It was worth it. It was worth it.
Now, part 2 of my question, you mentioned like when you reach a certain celebrity status, it becomes chestnut checker. So with that, let me ask you: have you been following? Now, we talked about this on part 1 of our show, but I also want to ask you this: are you familiar with the Jay-Z, Eric Reed, NFL situation? Is Jay-Z playing chestnut checkers?
Yes, Jay-Z is playing chestnut checkers.
All right.
And guess what? We won't know that until future things reveal itself. So I've always been one of those people where I try not to judge based off of not knowing all the factual information about it and hearing from the horse's mouth on exactly what it is, because there's so many people do this. Well, I would have. Right. Well, he should have. You don't know until you're at that status, in that position, and we don't know all the underlying things. You know, a lot of times, what is it? Don't let your right hand know what your left hand is doing. We only seeing one side. Yeah. We don't know what's under that surface. We don't know the plan behind everything.
Right.
Okay, let me back up a little bit. You were talking about where you want to be in 5 years, but 5 years ago, you weren't where you are now.
You are right about that.
So for everyone who's looking, who may be interested in starting a podcast or a YouTube channel, kind of go into what all did it take for you to find your videographer, to get your podcast equipment. How much have you learned? Because there's a lot that goes on behind setting this up. Like, I've learned so much.
Week, we know. Sometimes you're like, man, what do we sign up for?
Yeah, exactly. So like, let all the people like, what's the learning process has been like? How has it been trying to connect with the right people? Have you had to cut ties with others?
Yeah.
Your team, all that.
It's been a journey. I would say 5 years ago, I didn't even know that this was my purpose. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think I was searching for something 5 years ago, and I was very unfulfilled in life. I was just like, there has to be more than going to work.
Yeah.
Like, there has to be more than, you know, I feel empty for the most part. I was literally about to say, forget it, and move to Tampa, Florida with my best friend and be near some water and be on the ocean and just be like, you know what, I'm living my best life right now. But I think the way the universe works is when you're at that point in which you're starting to forge your own path and you're getting away from purpose in what your life is supposed to be, that it sends you things that kind of like help you get back on the path of knowing that you're supposed to be there. So 5 years ago, when that happened, when I was about to say, you know what, forget it, I don't know where I am, that's when I got the invitation to be co-creator of the Conversation platform. And that sparked something inside of me. I was like, dang, I didn't know that even people looked at me as a creator, as somebody who can actually do something like this and believe in me to the point where it can grow and create something. So purpose started for me in 2016 when the Conversation started. That's why I'm so tied to it, because I don't know where I would be, and I don't know what my life path or journey would be if I had not gotten a hold of this. So 5 years ago, it literally, and the adventures that I've been on have all been through purpose. Like, I understand I am a nucleus that holds a lot of people and connects a lot of people to different things. It's draining, it's annoying, and I get now why people say purpose is gift and curse. Right. Because the shit is, it's really draining. Yeah. It's really tiring, and it's not, you don't get a lot of support. Yeah. You know, like those that you're going to have self-satisfying and gratifying times where you have to be like, you know what? Once I cross the finish line, I got to be okay with congratulating myself, because there's not going to be a lot of people. You can't expect for, when you do it for people's patting you on the back and saying good job, you're going to be unfulfilled. Yeah. You know, inside. So for me, it was about, once I hit these different milestones with different things, congratulating myself, but also being appreciative of the supporters originally who have been down for me, you know, from day one, saying, I believe in what you got going on. I believe in this platform. I believe, you know, in the success that this thing is, and the fact that the world needs it.
Gotcha. So let's talk about these Milky Balls.
Yeah.
Let's dive into that.
Before Ronnie gets started, I just want to point out that we've been having this great in-depth conversation, and it's almost like Ronnie just been festering the whole time.
Change gears. Time to change gears.
Look, we got all the political stuff out of the way.
He's just been waiting the whole time.
Let's talk about these Milky Balls. Go ahead, Ronnie. Go ahead, Ronnie.
Hey man, so how did that concept come to be? And how the hell did you end up with that? Let's be real.
Because you are a woman, so
yes, I am the Milky Balls Podcast. What happened is because connection. I had somebody in the conversation who is an erotic poet. Oh. And he does, they have sex shows here in Charlotte. And it's not necessarily a show with people having sex.
I hope not.
You know,
I appreciate you for
I will clarify that. It is
you let some people down.
It is.
Man. It's on Eventbrite.
It is on Eventbrite, actually. But it's a collection of different poets that have come together who speak erotic. It's women and men. They speak on erotic poetry that touches sensuality and sexiness, and it allows people to be open or open their minds to different things as far as when it comes to sexual exploration. So they do different demonstrations like BDSM. They introduce people who are kind of trapped in the whole same mundane thing, sex over and over. A lot of people and their partners come to these type of things because it's like, let's find other different ways that we can be stimulated mentally and also open our minds to different other things that are out there.
Question: Do you think it is a challenge? I mean, the whole concept of Milky Balls is it? I love saying that. Do you believe it's a challenge, being that we're in the quote unquote Bible Belt? Do you think it's some kind of regional thing? You know what I'm saying? Do you think it'll be more successful?
Jamal, did you ever regularly go to church?
I'm not going to answer that one.
Because if you did, you will understand that some of the freakiest things happen when it comes to because you feel so confined and so restricted in your belief a lot of times that you feel like you can't explore anything else, but you want to and you have those desires to, and so you cage it till you can't cage it no more, and then when it finally comes out, it's like, whew. Like,
full throttle.
Now look, this just came to my mind. I know we typically like to highlight Black entrepreneurship and all that good stuff. You can take this how you want, but I think it would be super dope if the Milky Balls did a podcast.
You sounded uncomfortable saying that.
In relation or cooperation with the Slutty Vegan.
Oh,
wow!
I like that.
If y'all were to link up, I think that would be super dope.
Shout out to my co-host Marlon, by the way, as well. Like, Marlon is the superstar that makes. I don't know if y'all have seen my graphics for the Milky Balls podcast when they come out, but these graphics are off the hook.
Okay.
So I want y'all to check them out. It is. He is my co-host in this. And he comes up with the weirdest things. Like when you have the whole Slutty Vegan, I can already see what the
artwork.
The artwork is gonna be.
I'm thinking now,
the
like,
conversation, and the conversation that's going to go around it, because there is a such thing as what people call food porn.
Oh
yeah. You know, like where people literally take erotic pictures with food. Like, and
it's kind of weird.
I'm not good.
The that ain't my fetishes and kinks that go on in regards to those things. So, big shout out to Marlon. Big shout out to what he does with the platform as well too. But Milky Balls came from. So he was like, Elyse, let's start this podcast. Like, I think people think it's really taboo to talk about sex, and I was like, they do, but I don't think they should. Like, we really should create a space where they see a man and a woman talking about sex, but we're talking. We're not yelling at each other. We're not being ratchet. I like ratchetness. I'm clatchet myself. That's classy and ratchet.
That's actually
together.
my first time ever hearing.
I like that. I'm clatchet.
Okay. Hi, girl.
We married the two. Nothing wrong with it, but a lot of times when people are talking about sex, it's very raunchy. And it's very comical. People don't take it serious. And there's some conversations we need to have about sex that should be serious.
Gotcha.
So that's, one of the big things in regards to
So, as a woman talking about this, do you face any blowback or, hey, you may be this type of way, so what's up with you tonight, or something like that in your inbox? I mean, I'm being real.
Yeah, you being real. And
it's a lot of guys watching right now.
Let me tell you what a lot of guys do. There will be some, I'm not going to say a lot, but some will inbox me just on the fact that there's fetishes and things and kinks that they want to explore with their partners. Okay. But they're afraid to say it because they don't want to lose out on the relationship. So they'll ask me, hey, Elyse, what do you think is the best way to address this particular thing with somebody that I really care about and I really love? Because it's something I want to explore, but I don't want to hold I don't want to lose my girl either.
Yeah,
so basically, PSA for the male under construction fans, y'all chill out after this show.
Hey man, we don't need no inbox.
We don't need
no
inbox.
We don't need no text messages.
We already know Elyse is easy on the eyes.
Matter of fact, you can see me all day long on the Milky Balls Podcast.
Oh, there you go, right there.
Hey, MilkyBalls.com.
When you guys started that podcast, and with it being concentrated mainly on sex, did you kind of leave that alone on the conversation and try to concentrate more on those deeper topics? Did you separate those two?
Yeah, so the two are very much so separated.
Okay.
But they're only separated in regards to platform.
Yeah. Gotcha.
We it's not separate in regards to content though.
Okay.
Because content wise, I'll talk about sex on the conversation as well. We just don't talk as much about it. It's not solely focused. The conversation is a lifestyle and entertainment podcast, so we kind of engulf everything around there. The Milky Balls podcast is just it's straight sex and sensuality and love and lust and relationships, so it kind of just revolves around sex. But the conversation, it is a separate too, because I didn't want all the conversations on the conversation platform to be of sexual nature. You know, so I had to separate the two platforms just for that purpose.
So I have a question. So I'm gonna dive into your background. You're from Belmont, North Carolina. How did you become so conscious? Like,
wait. I wanna ask a not so deep question first. Okay. I ask everybody else who comes on the podcast.
Yeah, because we forgot about this.
Oh, yeah. Sure.
Is it uptown or is it downtown?
Charlotte.
I'm gonna be honest with y'all. It just depends on which one I feel like. I literally 80% is downtown.
I can rock with that.
Yeah, 80% is downtown because
both of y'all are wrong.
It's uptown.
No, it's not. You're wrong too. It is downtown all the time.
No matter where you are.
As a resident, long-time Charlottean, it is downtown all the time. I am a snobby Charlottean. Yes.
Who goes? I think people in larger cities or from larger cities say uptown, but being from where I'm from, it's always been downtown.
Before I moved to Charlotte, the only time I heard uptown was when I listened to a Lil Wayne CD.
Oh,
that's the only time I've ever heard uptown.
Uptown, baby.
Uptown, baby. I want,
my bad for stealing your thunder, Roddy.
No. Let me ask you this. I asked you this off camera. What is the next function we can see from the conversation, whether it be a social function or community drive? Is there anything else in the works?
Yes. So the platform is going to take a completely new direction starting in September when the show airs. We're on a break right now. Season 3 is up and coming for the Conversation Lifestyle and Entertainment Podcast. It's going to be a different spin on some things. Okay. So I'm really excited about that because we're going to be focused more on community. And doing a lot of things in the community. So the next event that we're going to have is probably going to be a game night. Okay. I think I may do another game night coming up soon. I don't really have anything set in plans because right now my total concentration is on getting season 3 up and running. I've been really blessed. My crew of people on the Conversation platform, shout out to Lysandra Oates, aka L Boogie. Shout out to James Slim Smith, aka Slim. He is my videographer and he does my digital stuff there. Okay.
Talented dude.
Yeah. So when y'all ask me how this whole thing comes together as far as the team, any entrepreneurs know, you got to pick your team. We can't do this thing by ourselves. And I tried to. I got tired. I got sluggish. I was about to quit so many times because you put all the pressure on you and then you make yourself feel like if I don't do it, this is mine. I have to do it all myself. It has to be done this particular way. You're going to drain yourself. You're going to burn yourself out. And so I realized, about 2 years into this thing that I need to build a team of people that I can trust and I can rely on, but also that's going to offer their talents and what they do naturally as people to bring to what we have going on. So L Boogie is naturally an idiot. She is hilarious. She is funny, but she's a people person and she's a marketer. So she helps with that aspect of things. Slim is a great artist, a creator, a designer, digital graphic. He does that. Digital graphics is not my ministry. I can't do it. And so I needed to make sure I built my team around people that were able to help assist me in areas that I need to grow on that wasn't particularly something that I was good at. So that's how the team started to get, built. And along the way, there's been team members that came on that just wasn't a good fit for the vision. And that's what I tell people. It's not about personally what you have going on or personally me Xing you as a person. You know, I want to still stay connected with you, but if you don't align with the vision, then I have to make it, you know, and that's a business. That's a vision is great. Is greater than just this, you being on the show. It's not about that. If you can contribute in other ways, please do. Please be a part of it. But vision wise, we got to move forward.
Gotcha. So back to my question. So being from Belmont, North Carolina, how did Elyse become so conscious?
I watched The Matrix.
Really?
I'm serious.
Would not have expected that.
I was expecting I expected right here. They go here. They go here.
We not even in left field.
No,
we're in a whole different park right now.
We're in Lincoln County right now.
Would you like to expound?
Expound on that.
I mean, I watched The Matrix. So, The Matrix is my ultimate favorite movie, and I saw myself as Neo. I was working all the time. I didn't want to be at work. It was boring. But I felt like I was going through the motions. That's all. And I didn't know anything other than after I watched. Well, while I was watching the movie, I was like, "Damn, this is me." I feel trapped as a person right here. But when I get off of work, or even while I'm there, I have so many different thoughts of. I've been conditioned to do this, but this shit don't feel right to me.
Yeah. So
this is not. How do I get the courage to disown or dismiss these things and follow my path?
I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, you
but
good.
The question that popped up was, do you feel like there was a lot of self-exploration that ultimately made you the person? Okay.
No. So after I saw it, it just got my wheels turning.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
That's and I mean, The Matrix came out when? Early 2000s?
02.
Yeah, so that's when The Matrix really came out. I probably didn't see it for what it was, because y'all know we watch movies, but it's the difference between watching and seeing.
Yeah. Because you watch it 5 years later, then you have a different understanding.
Exactly. So that's what happened. I watched it when I kind of was in college, and the wheels started turning for me. And I went to college in 2003, so I was like, dang, it was just up there floating around. It wasn't until after I was divorced, because I've been married before. It wasn't until after I was divorced, so I was like, you know what? I need to seek me. I need to figure out what it is that I want, because the only reason why I got married to marriage and not to the person I was supposed to be with. And I feel like a lot of people are led down paths because,
I know many people like that.
Yes, and I know many people like that too, and unhappy, unfulfilled lives because they feel like they're supposed to go by the status quo blueprint of what the world presents to you, and your internal map is so much different from the world's map. Okay. And so after I got divorced and went through all of that hell of, internal turmoil and emotional turmoil with myself, I was like, Elyse, you have to sit yourself aside. So for 6 months, the only thing I did was went to work and went home. And when I went home, I made it a point to deal with me.
So what ultimately became your white rabbit?
Truth became my white rabbit, because I was like, I'm tired of having to lie and being a hypocrite was something in the South that you're taught. Smile, nod, feel something totally different in the inside. So you grow up like that. Everything's okay. And you grow up thinking you're this super strong person because you can take all of this from the outside. They did a meme with Homer Simpson one time where he's smiling and he's clipped up from the back, using clips with depression, sadness, anger, all of this stuff. We're holding all of that stuff inside of us. And I was like, you know what? I need to be able to be truthful, because it's only in my truth that I'm literally able to be free. So that was my white rabbit. And that's what I try to do it as much. I try to live by that. It's my mantra.
So what do you do in your spare time to just kind of get away to get back to yourself and just be at one with yourself?
So people have to understand that what works for them is going to be what works for you. If you have been in a setting your whole entire life and you realize this ain't really making me feel free like I'm supposed to feel free, try different things. I didn't know what grounding was. I didn't know what crystals and chakras and all that other stuff was. until I started meeting and connecting with people through the conversation.
Okay.
And I had this really dope friend named Alicia who introduced me to the world of chakras and alignments and stones. And for me, grounding is one of the biggest things that kind of helps me align back. So for me, I take my shoes off and I go somewhere like in nature, or even if I'm at my apartment complex, I take my shoes off and I literally stand barefoot in the grass. And for me, it's just a way of grounding myself and understanding that I'm connected to all things, but also being mindfulness to meditate on me,
Right.
Yeah.
and not everything else. Like we get into a really bad habit of becoming routine. I don't know Vince. I know Vince is routine. He comes home, he does this, he goes to bed. That's it. You know what I'm saying? Like Jamal's routine. Like I don't know you. I know your routine. So I want people to know Elyse, who I am. I want you to feel me for my energy and for my presence.
Has aligning your chakras ever made you late for something?
Listen, what is on time?
Maybe a concert, maybe Lauryn Hill.
See you, Lauryn Hill.
Wait. I feel like there's a story there. Wait,
No.
First of all,
Lauryn Hill reference.
listen.
We'll move on.
Oh man, my bad. I caught it late. I'm sorry.
You just.
I caught it late.
Like right here.
There is no excuse for doing too much substance abuse in regards to things where you can't get somewhere on time, or you can't perform because you have abused it too much.
Well, listen, Elyse, we have thoroughly enjoyed our
Yes,
time with
thank
you
you,
today.
guys.
Unfortunately, it is up, but you got to come back.
I will.
man.
Yeah.
This can't
One last
be-
question. Relationship status.
I am in a relationship.
Okay.
All right, guys.
We just wanted to put
So-
that
so-
out there.
Cool.
Now, before we close this out, go ahead and throw your plug out
Yes.
there. Let everybody know how they can contact you and all that good stuff.
So you guys can conversate.
No, hey, that works.
Converse.
That
No,
works.
it don't work
That
for
works.
me. It does not work for me. It's converse.
You know what's
It
funny?
is.
I say conversate sometimes intentionally just to piss people off.
Yeah,
Don't
I
do
hate
that
it.
around me.
I hate
Don't
it.
do that around
and
me.
in the word, I was trying to think connection and then conversation was
And they
all in the
came-
same.
they
It's
came
all-
out at the same time.
to conversate. Thank you, Vince. So you can connect with The Conversation on Facebook at The Convo LNE, on Instagram at The Convo LANDE, and also YouTube The Convo LNE. The best way you guys can contact us as far as to get everything that you need is going to be the website, which is theconversation704.com. Everything that you need, events, podcast information. Our podcast is on Google Play, iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify. So you can definitely find us on those podcast channels. Milky Balls is the same way, milkyballspodcast.com.
Milky Balls.
Yes.
Be careful with that search.
You will, hey, it might lead you astray, but you might find something and you'll be
That'll help align your chakras for the ladies.
Find something else too. But anyway,
yes. So Milky Balls Podcast is everything is. You can just search that for every single thing that we're on the internet, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube as well. Okay. So all of that is just the same name.
Well, I promise I'll be nicer in your group when I do decide to post.
Yeah, you still owe me a jersey too, Jamal.
And I'm gonna join
too.
too.
We're gonna talk about that later.
I need to join.
Yeah, but I need everybody to join.
I'm in there.
Because I'm gonna have you guys on my show eventually.
I can't wait.
As well, too.
I can't wait.
Can you not? Because listen, I got some characters. This is gonna be a good show. I feel it in my spirit already.
Oh yes, it is. I got a Bobcat jersey again, by the way. Anyway,
you are disrespectful right now. Ooh.
Thank y'all for joining us. Till the next time, thank you, and we will see y'all next week.
Appreciate y'all. See y'all next time. All right.
One love.